The history of the ancient Mediterranean was irrevocably changed by the struggle between two emerging powers, Rome and Carthage. In the 3rd century BCE, Rome was a rising land power that had recently consolidated its control over the Italian peninsula. Carthage, a Hellenistic state of Phoenician origin, was the dominant maritime and economic superpower, controlling vast trade networks from its capital in North Africa. The rivalry began with the First Punic War, 264 to 241 BCE, a conflict primarily fought over the possession of Sicily. Although Carthage possessed a superior navy and more experienced sailors, Rome demonstrated incredible adaptability. By developing the corvus, a boarding bridge, Rome turned naval battles into infantry engagements, eventually breaking Carthaginian sea power. The war ended in a humiliating defeat for Carthage, which was forced to surrender Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica and pay massive war reparations. To recover from this economic and strategic blow, the Carthaginian general Hamilcar Barca, the father of Hannibal, turned his eyes toward the Iberian Peninsula, modern-day Spain. Spain was rich in silver and gold mines, providing the resources needed to pay Rome and fund a new military. Under Hamilcar and his son-in-law Hasdrubal the Fair, the Barcid family established a virtually independent empire in Spain, founding the city of New Carthage as their base. This rapid expansion deeply worried the Roman Senate, setting the stage for an even more brutal confrontation. The genesis of the Second Punic War is found in a legendary moment of personal devotion and hatred. Before leaving for Spain, Hamilcar Barca took his 9-year-old son, Hannibal, to a temple and had him swear an oath of eternal hostility toward Rome. Hannibal grew up in military camps, surrounded by soldiers, receiving an education that blended the Greek spirit with practical command experience. By the age of 26, following the deaths of his father and brother-in-law, Hannibal was proclaimed commander of the Carthaginian forces in Spain. Hannibal was a military genius who understood that Carthage could not win a defensive war against Rome. He spent years consolidating power in Spain and building a multicultural army of mercenaries, Gauls, Spaniards, Africans, and the famous Numidian cavalry. The spark for the war was the city of Saguntum, a Roman ally located south of the Ebro River. Hannibal viewed Rome's alliance with Saguntum as a breach of existing treaties. In 219 BCE, he besieged and captured the city after 8 months. When the Roman Senate demanded his surrender and Carthage refused, the Second Punic War began. Hannibal's strategy was audacious. He would not wait for Rome to strike North Africa. Instead, he would bring the war to Italy. Through his extensive intelligence network, Hannibal learned that Rome planned a two-pronged attack on Spain and Africa. By invading Italy, he forced Rome to abandon its offensive plans and fight in its own backyard. In late spring of 218 BCE, Hannibal began one of the most celebrated maneuvers in military history. He set out from New Carthage with approximately 40,000 infantry, 12,000 horsemen, and 38 war elephants. To achieve strategic surprise, he chose an improbable land route through Gaul and across the Alps, evading the Roman navy's control of the seas. The crossing of the Rhone River was coordinated using smoke signals and a mix of diplomacy and force with local Gallic tribes. However, the ascent of the Alps in late October was the ultimate test. Only a madman would attempt the high passes so late in the season. The army braved blizzards, sub-zero temperatures, and constant attacks from hostile mountain tribes. Hannibal's men were forced to abandon their siege engines and much of their supply train. After 15 to 17 days of agony, the battered column emerged in the Po Valley. The cost was staggering. Hannibal had lost nearly half of his army and almost all his elephants. The survivors were described as looking more like beasts than men. Despite this, Hannibal's arrival in Italy panicked the Romans, who never imagined an invasion from the north. he quickly replenished his ranks by recruiting Celtic or Gallic tribes who were eager to revolt against Roman rule. Hannibal's Italian campaign was a masterpiece of tactical brilliance and psychological warfare. He meticulously studied the personalities of Roman commanders, using their flaws to lure them into traps. The first major clash occurred at the Trebia River, 218 BCE. Hannibal used his Gallic spies to discover that the consul Sempronius Longus was desperate for a quick victory. On a freezing morning, Hannibal lured the hungry and cold Roman legions across the icy river, where they were ambushed and annihilated. The following year, at Lake Trasimene, 217 BCE, Hannibal executed what is considered the largest successful ambush in military history. He used the morning mist to hide his army in the hills along the lakeshore, trapping the consul Gaius Flaminius in a narrow defile. More than 15,000 Romans were killed or captured. Rome was now in full panic, appointing Quintus Fabius Maximus as dictator. Fabius earned the nickname Cunctator, the Delier, by avoiding pitched battles and using a scorched earth policy to starve Hannibal's army. However, the Roman people grew impatient with these cowardly tactics. In 216 BCE, Rome raised its largest army yet, roughly 80,000 men, to stop Hannibal at Cannae. Hannibal, though outnumbered, used a double envelopment maneuver. He placed his weaker troops in a crescent-shaped center that slowly retreated, luring the Romans deep into a trap, while his veteran infantry and superior cavalry closed in from the flanks and rear. By the end of the day, nearly 50 to 70,000 Romans were dead, including 80 senators. Hannibal ante portis, or Hannibal is at the gates, became the catchphrase of a city on the brink of collapse. Despite his string of tactical victories, Hannibal faced a fundamental problem: logistics and support. He lacked the siege equipment and manpower to capture the walled city of Rome itself. Most importantly, the Carthaginian Senate was reluctant to send reinforcements, prioritizing the defense of Spain over Hannibal's Italian adventure. Meanwhile, the Romans adopted a strategy of attrition, isolating Hannibal in southern Italy while attacking Carthaginian interests in Spain. A new Roman star emerged: Scipio Africanus. Scipio was a student of Hannibal's own tactics. After conquering Spain, Scipio invaded North Africa, forcing Carthage to recall Hannibal from Italy in 203 BCE. The final showdown occurred at the Battle of Zama, 202 BCE. Scipio neutralized Hannibal's elephants and used his own superior Numidian cavalry to deliver a decisive defeat to the Carthaginian legend. After the war, Hannibal remained active in Carthaginian politics, but was eventually forced into exile by his rivals in Roman pressure. He spent his final years as a military advisor to Hellenistic kings in the east, always pursued by Roman agents. In 183 BCE, in Bithynia, rather than being captured, he committed suicide by drinking poison. The legacy of Hannibal Barca is eternal. He is known as the father of strategy. His double envelopment at Cannae remains a textbook example of a perfect battle taught in military academies worldwide. His influence reached generals throughout history, including Napoleon and Alfred von Schlieffen. Paradoxically, though he lost the war, Hannibal reshaped Rome. The trauma of his invasion led to the creation of a professional standing army and the rise of powerful generals, ultimately contributing to the transformation of the Roman Republic into an empire. Carthage was destroyed in 146 BCE, but the ghost of Hannibal continued to haunt the Roman imagination for centuries.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that shaped our world.